until you have an experience with an energy, you don't actually know how you'll respond to it. And in the same way, you know those energies with, for instance, hate or jealousy or fear. You know those the same way you know what love is. And
It's the Empowerment Perspective Podcast, hosted by Demiso Josie and Mr. Kareem Spence. Stay empowered.
All right, welcome to yet another episode of the Empowerment Perspective Podcast. I go by the name of Dr. Demiso A. Josie, and I've been blessed to have my co-host back in the building for season 5, Mr. Kareem Petty Spence. What it do, man?
Man, do real petty. That's what they do, man. I was thinking today, right? And I'm like, man, today is a perfect season. That if you want to get married, you get married. The government just came out, said you can't have more than 10 people in an open space at one time. Listen, man, you can get married right now for about 5 G's. That includes the ring.
Right? I was thinking that, you ain't got to worry about it. 10 people in, that's it. You know what I'm saying? And that includes you, your bride, best man, best woman, priest. Yeah, that's 5 right there.
That's $200 a plate. You could ball out right now. Everybody gets champagne. Everybody gets champagne.
Somebody's feelings getting hurt. Somebody's auntie, somebody's grandma ain't gonna make it.
Absolutely.
On the list. It makes that guest list real special. I'll tell you that right there.
But you have the perfect excuse. You can say, listen, grandmama or big mama, I can't invite you because you're a high risk. Like, you can't come. I'm sorry. Like, governor said you can't come. You blame everything on Governor Murphy right now and get away with it.
That's petty. You starting off on the wrong foot. Your mother-in-law, big mama, you ain't inviting her to the wedding. You starting off on the wrong foot. And it's close to Thanksgiving too. You definitely ain't getting no cornbread.
Listen, hey, man, big mama, she's high risk. I'm sorry, big mama. I can't afford you getting sick right now. You got to stay home.
That's awesome. I'm glad to see that you the same petty person that you have always been, keeping it real. I respect that. But how are you doing right now? What's going on? The numbers are going up. Unfortunately, we're in New Jersey. We're in education. Things is getting out of control, man. How you holding up?
I'm good because the gyms are back open, so I'm good. And I seen a report today, like in Philadelphia, they're supposed to shut down the gyms. I'm like, no, you can shut down everything else, but that. I'm actually thinking about going to go buy me some toilet paper right after this meeting. I'm going right and give you the toilet paper. I'm selling it $50 a roll. That's how we gonna do it.
That's funny. Yeah, man, you better get your stock in Charmin or whatever it is to get it up. Listen, I ain't playing around. I got the kids, their portfolios. We going after Pfizer, CVS. What's the new one? Medora, the new company that's coming out, 94% effective. I'm not getting the vaccine, but I'm gonna make some money off of it for sure.
I was thinking something a little bit more like small scale, like getting a tent table, setting up on a Black Horse pipe and just selling rolls of toilet paper. $50.
But one sheet at a time?
One sheet, absolutely. One square.
Good to hear that you're doing good. We are also blessed as usual with the lovely Jamie. How are you doing, Miss Jamie? How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
You sure?
Very good, very good.
You're maintaining with this COVID stuff that's going on out there?
Yeah, and I'm already stocked up on toilet paper, so I could sell you some right now for $45.
I can come rob you. Either one. I can come rob you one or the other.
$45 a roll, and then you could make $5 profit.
Toilet paper. Wait a minute. Say that again. My math is a little slow. One more time.
So $50, I can sell it for $45. You can make $5. I have paper towels and napkins, tissues as well. You can, I'll sell it to you.
Whoa. We might want to keep that quiet. Kareem might be coming over with a ski mask on, raiding your inventory.
I'll wait till she go on that hybrid schedule. Now, listen, I'll pop right into her classroom to make sure she's teaching. And I'll be right at the crib taking everything.
That's funny. Now, both of you guys, you went back. You were guys were remote. Now you're hybrid. How has the transition been going for the two?
For me, I like it. I have to be in the building. I have to get away from that couch as far as possible because it's just too much temptation. Because listen, I'll be taking a nap in the middle of the day, easy. But for me, I get most of my work done I have to be in that environment. So not everybody is disciplined enough to be able to work from home. That's including our students. For me, I have to be in the building to get stuff done.
Makes sense. How about you, Jamie? How's that transition for you?
I don't know if I like it as much because from my perspective, we're trying to teach virtually and in person at the same time. And what we use virtually, we can't teach with in person. So it's basically coming up with 2 lessons for every 1 lesson we're teaching.
It's called differentiated instruction with twisted technology.
I can focus at home in my house. Plus, by the end of the school day, I have all of my schoolwork done and all of my housework done. So really, I was able to balance 2 things being at home and walking the dogs. Everything was working out well for me.
Speaking of housework, what is that in the background?
It's my Christmas tree.
You do realize it's not time for Christmas yet.
Mm-hmm.
It is time. We're waiting for Santa.
If there's any kids that are listening to this podcast, their parents, turn it off right now because I want to let Jamie in on a little secret. Santa is not real.
Mm-hmm.
He's real. He is real in here.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't believe, you're not getting anything.
Mm-hmm.
We're celebrating him.
For those who don't know, see season 3, Santa's Not Real on YouTube. We already had a discussion about it.
Absolutely.
Yes, featuring Al Thomas. We talked about having Christmas, Halloween, New Year's Eve all wrapped up in one weekend. Get over
all in one weekend, absolutely. And child support.
And child support, absolutely. All of it, yes, absolutely. Get all of it done.
You seriously have your tree up, right? I'm a little disappointed
My
in you.
tree, my stockings, everything's ready.
Now, because you're 2 foot, is your stocking small too? You have a small stocking?
The best things come in little packages, so I do have a little stocking.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they do not.
They do. Just because you're over 7 foot, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about me.
Gotcha.
I'm confused by that.
We're gonna let that ride because this is a rated G podcast right now. At least for right now.
Just went right over my head. I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
But on the previous podcast, I got my pettiness on a little bit, and I got 2 podcasts in without you guys. It's my fault. I apologize, but I just wanted to get some stuff done on the fly. Last one I had my man Vince Simmons out there in Philadelphia. He's doing some things in education. So shout out to him. We're gonna get him back on to talk about urban education, specifically during the pandemic and things that are going on. Because Philadelphia, they shut it down. Just literally today, they shut it down again. So we're gonna talk about that as well. So of course, I'm getting a phone call right in the middle of my podcast. I don't like it, but we shout out to him. We talked about our experiences at ABC and ESPN. Sorry. And then also in the basketball world. Before then, we had Dr. Darlene DeHaan talking about English language learners. We had that in brain-based learning as well. So check that podcast out. But today, when it comes to, you ever have a friend like you see every once in a while because of family? They don't go to the same school, but you kind of rock with this person anyway, and it's always a good vibe when you see them. And then when you get older, you realize you run around in the same circles of people, and then you're just like, yo, why didn't we really connect like that a whole lot more? Our paths cross so much. It's a blessing to have this brother on today. So when you talk about somebody who's multi-talented, he's definitely got some bars when it comes to the poetry game for sure. I heard him spit some things as far as poetry is concerned. He definitely has his ear to the streets in terms of what's going on in this country. He's a person that operates off of his feelings and his emotions, and he's getting vibes from people, and he's probably one of the few people that hits the nail on the head when it comes to it. Because at first I was like, you can't feel my vibe. You don't know what my energy is. But he got me believing in that. He also got some things going for as far as mental health, physical health. The man is multi-talented. And it's definitely a blessing that we reconnected through some conversations that Kareem, you was on too. In light of the George Floyd situation, kind of sparked some conversations. And it's just only right to have him on the podcast. I got a little petty because he was on somebody else's podcast first. So I was like, you know what? I got to get him on here to even the playing field. So my brother, man, you're Real Riley. How you doing, King? You good?
Peace. Thank you so much. That was wonderful, King. Thank you. Peace, King. Peace to everyone out there. You as well, Kareem. We always got those good vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the messages I'll try to convey to people is that until you have an experience with an energy, you don't actually know how you'll respond to it.
Mm-hmm.
And in the same way you know those energies, with, for instance, hate or jealousy or fear, you know those the same way you know what love is. And if you don't experience those energies, you'll never know how to deal with them. And so a lot of things which you were talking about earlier, as a species, we're supposed to evolve. We have to accept what is true and what isn't true.
Mm-hmm.
And when you accept those things, you can move forward. For instance, we're talking about Christmas, and you know, I just didn't have the experience of celebrating any of those because I was told always from the beginning that we don't believe in that stuff. That stuff is whatever for whatever reason, but it was in our religion as a Jehovah's Witness, you know, that you didn't believe it. So I never felt innately that my parents were lying to me about anything, you know, just because I didn't have that experience with something simple like that.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you find that because you didn't have that particular experience, that it was difficult for you to relate to those that did have those particular experiences, especially when we get around about this time of the year and you see the energy and the excitement as we get closer and closer to the day?
Wow. No, it was actually the total opposite. I didn't judge. And the same thing with health and fitness. You know, I've been in the fitness world forever, you know, working with athletes all over. And I never went out and looked at people like, oh, they're fat. Oh, they're overweight. Da da da. Never, ever in my mind. It's literally the total opposite. It's literally the total opposite in my mindset. So just because everyone else was standing up and saluting the flag, I'm like, no, I only pledge allegiance to God. I sat there. People remember to this day that I just sat there. And but that didn't make me say, oh, they're bad because they're wearing a cross, or they're bad because it did the total opposite, because what I was learning from that religion was that you're to be like Christ. You're supposed to be accepting and tolerant.
Let's talk about go back, because we talked about energy. Express what that feels like. Like I guess go back to the first time that you really recognized that, you know, there's energies that circulate this world and that you can feel it. And what is that? There's somebody that's trying to they hear it, you know, and even growing up, I've heard it, but it wasn't until I actually felt it that I understood what that meant. So explain that a little bit.
All right. So sound is everything. Here's a book written by Ted Andrews, a very, very powerful book. It's called Sacred Sounds. And it says transformation through music and word. But understanding that sound is energy, it's a magnificent thing, because then you want to hone that energy. And so the first time I had it understood probably that things were energy when I was a lot younger, and I would say, wow, if I was a being from the stars looking down on the earth, I wouldn't think, oh, that's a African American man, or that's an indigenous person, or that's a white person. I would think that's a human, that's a earthling. And so it was like, so when if you think we're all one, then the energy that is against that is what we're in now.
Hmm.
The separation, the division.
Hmm.
And so I think it was that from nature, just realizing like we're actually all one. So if we're not working together as one, then something else is working against
Hmm.
it.
So actually, you're talking about like a rhythm almost, because when you
Yes,
talk about energy, so everything flows in a cycle like nature, and then you have that certain rhythm. Like even with the plants that you have behind you, if you spill out that type of energy, then you'll see that one of those plants may not make it because of
that's
the.
right.
Okay, that's the. I'm sorry, Miso.
That's
Now it's
beautiful,
all good. I mean,
beautiful.
one
Well
of the
said.
things, the way that I experienced it is like, you know how you go into certain places
Mm-hmm.
and you could just feel the energy of the room.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was a negative experience. It was kind of like, I don't really belong here type
Mm,
situation. You know what I mean? So then once that negative experience happened, I started paying attention to it a lot in terms of everything that I was moving. Like you get that gut feeling, those butterflies, like just telling you you're not supposed to be doing something, right? So that energy, you feel that energy at that moment. But the opposite of that, I started learning that there's also positive feelings and energies,
Mm-hmm.
right, from people, and that you just feel comfortable around. Like it just makes sense for that to happen. So, I completely subscribe to this concept of energy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna flip the script a little bit and bring Jamie in here because I want to know the energy that you felt for putting that Christmas tree up so early. Like, where did that where did that energy come from?
I guess it has to do with me personally and what I'm going through in my life. I needed to find something positive for myself and for my children, and Christmas is also always positive for them as far as me and them are concerned. So I felt
Mm-hmm.
like by doing it early, we would bring some more positive energy into the house.
yes.
That's a very powerful statement because there's a lot of times where you go through a lot of things, and just by putting certain objects or certain reminders around you, those things that give you energy in a positive way. In my office specifically, I got pictures of my kids all over. Now, 9 times out of 10, when I'm on the phone, it's a negative experience because I deal with discipline and yada yada yada. But I kind of try to counterbalance it with some positive things that I put around me. And I've always been a proponent of having positive energy people around me. So I don't really fool with a whole lot of people. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a big lesson that a lot of people are missing out on. So this whole idea of energy, I think, is a very powerful tool if you tune into it and really feel it.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just like, all right, if you when you are driving, you know, you can't see what's on the ground. You can't see and actually take a look and say, "Oh, wow, that's a magnolia. Oh, that's a rose." You don't do that. Even if you're riding your bike most of the time, you're just you're on a go. You're going to a destination. But if you're walking and you can literally and you see, oh man, that's a pine tree. Oh wow, that's an oak. And then you touch it or something. You have literally just altered um your experience. You literally slow down time to actually acknowledge something that is in your presence instead of where your mind is taking you. And when you can do that, that's almost like transcendent time,
Can you imagine if people did that with people?
right?
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, slow down and acknowledge that there's people that, you know what I mean, the good in people. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Well, I
It's
think
great.
I think with this particular experience that we're having now, and to piggyback off what Raul is saying, is that even with the pandemic, we had to slow down and stop,
Yes.
and we had to start paying attention to the social issues that were around us and how we were treating a certain segment of the population. And everybody realized that, wait a minute, this is just wrong. Go ahead,
Mm.
Miso.
Let's
Right.
not go. I want to keep it simple real quick. I think
Okay.
you hit a good point because I think people are losing their mind right now because
Mhm.
they're
Yes.
so used to not being present. right? So that you can't shut down the school. I gotta go to work. I gotta keep moving. I gotta keep doing all this because they're so. And then it's forcing them to stop and actually pay attention to stuff. And people are not liking what they see.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So they want
real,
that.
Man. Wow.
It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. But yes, on the social aspect of it is a big piece of that. And I think it's almost like it's a distraction. It's an easy way out for people not to deal with it because they want to get in that go mode and not really sit down and be like, yo, this place is really messed up. Like, or even my thinking was messed up.
Right.
And, you know what I mean? People don't want to deal with themselves.
But I think
and that's tough.
It's making people so, like, I know this morning, so being on a different schedule gives me more time in the morning to do stuff. So when I went for a run this morning, I was by myself, the sun was just coming out, and it gave me a second to just turn around and look at what was behind me, enough so that I wanted to take a picture because I never had the time to stop and pay attention to realize how I'm just this small little thing in this ginormous world. It's so beautiful if you just stop for a second and look at it.
One of the things I started practicing was using my senses. I would take a moment out of each day and literally use my senses. And I will say, I'm going to listen to 3 sounds. I'm going to identify 3 different sounds. I'm going to look and identify 3 different things. I'm going to try to smell 3 different things. I try to use my senses. It only takes 5 minutes to sit down and really just be like, really, really ground yourself in that moment. And it kind of just brings me to a space where like, okay, 1, I'm going to be okay. 2, I can appreciate the little things that's around.
It's important to have those grounding thoughts. One grounding thought that I have is there's nothing that I go through that someone before me has not gone through. And that helps bring me back, just like to what Miso was saying, piggyback off that. Because you have to, and once you realize that, you're like, okay, wow. And so that's what digging in history helped really propel me, because I was digging in the history of our ancestors and how they were just systematically murdered and worked and worked and worked and worked to the point where Dr. Francis Welsing said that there would be the coronary would have only bones, and all the tendons were worked off of even girls that never even made it to puberty, and it's like, wow, they could work that hard that there's no tendons connection anymore, to think about that extreme. It's like, oh, you know what, I could walk 6 miles. Oh, yeah, I should be fine with that. I'm not going to die.
Got you. So let's lean into the social aspect. We were dancing around this topic a little bit, so let's lean into the stuff that's going on in the country. Just as an aside, that I mentioned a little bit earlier, that me, Kareem, and Urel connected through a men's group that we kind of got together and had a conversation about what was going on. And I think it was important to have those discussions just as men, as Black and brown men, just to be able to freely express how we felt about the situation, what was going on. And, some of us cried, we laughed, we had, we supported each other. And I think it was a very, very important discussion. Kareem, how did you feel about that experience?
I know in the beginning, I was a little hesitant because you're actually talking about allowing yourself to become vulnerable. And when you open yourself up, you are subject to people taking advantage of you, possibly taking your kindness for weakness. So again, we in the climate that we were raised in, as men, we're always taught to hold everything inside and not to show an ounce of weakness, regardless of how bad or how much pain you're in. You better not show it, because if you show it, you best believe somebody's going to take advantage of you and, more importantly, exploit you. So, as I became a little bit more comfortable with the group and being able to share experiences, it was good to see that everyone was willing to trust and have that moment of vulnerability and know that the conversations were going to be like sacred. And it's not that you're going to be, I want to say, being put on blast about some of the things that you felt. So wasn't nobody looking at you as if you were deemed weak, which is totally different from the environment that I grew up in. Because like I said, if they deem you weak, then more than likely the person you wouldn't think was going to punch you in the face is going to be the one that's going to punch you in the face now. Soft.
That's funny. Yeah.
Soft with a capital T. That's what they look at you.
Soft.
Yes.
Oh,
I get it. Yeah, you become food at that point.
Oh,
they definitely going after you. Uriel, what you get out of that experience?
man, that was so uplifting. Just listening to everyone and listening to um, just other men that have the same experience in America as well as the same background. Um, the main thing that brought us all together is that we understand that we were all athletes, and not just regular athletes, like we all were high level athletes. So I think that was another bonding thing because society has always put the athletes in our specific situations. They actually have um, given us a little bit of pass, if you will. And so to hear that no matter what that past was, we still felt like we were marginalized. We still felt like we were picked on, and we were held back to excel. And all of you have exceeded what was thought that beyond of what that puts us in a win situation. That's a win-win because we're feeding off it again, that energy from each other who are like minds. And we not only were we just athletes, we were winners in our athletics. I was three sport. You were three sport. Kareem, same thing. I think Kareem, you did wrestling, right?
I did baseball, but we didn't do too much winning. We did a whole lot of losing.
You was at Kingsway, right?
No, I was at Pleasantville High. So
Pleasantville.
We didn't do.
But your basketball team was really good. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I wasn't on that team either. But we had a whole lot of losing. It's the setbacks that you have that define your character to make you stronger. That's what they say.
That is too funny.
But that's a powerful thing because you have a mind frame that other people don't have. Going into athletes, you've been in the position to be so where you was in the zone. Everything you was letting go, everything was money. And when you push someone's limit to where they're transcending time and it's slowing down. And like, man, I know I'm going to do this, and this is where I'm placing the ball, or that experience alone puts you ahead of most of people's experiences ever. Is being able to transcend time, and so that camaraderie of being athletics and hearing other men go through things that I've gone through and their perception, that oneness is just dear to me. It means a lot.
I think you hit a key point that really, and I really didn't think about this until you said it, what sports did for me in my life now, is that because, I played varsity sports as a freshman. When you get in there as a freshman, the game is so fast, right? And then people are so strong and everything's just moving. But if I didn't have that experience and then the game started slowing down, the more I was in the game, the slower the game became. So when I translation that to life, right? That's why I like being uncomfortable, right? So I'll put myself in uncomfortable positions, and at some point the game slows down. And then I can really maneuver and excel. I think a lot of people are afraid of that pace of life, and they'll run from it. They'll do certain other things, and really just understanding that at some point, if you keep working at it, the game is going to slow down. Whatever that game is, it's going to slow down for you, and then you'll be able to see the opportunities. You'll be able to maneuver and do certain things, and then bring other people in and do certain things like that. So I think that lesson that sports taught me, one of the big ones, now that you said it, like, you know, and I'm really starting to think of it as an educational leader. I'm at this point now. When I first got in, my first day as assistant principal, was like, everything was like, yo, I didn't know. Now I'm at the point where it's like, yo, this is like, you know what I mean? It's like senior year now. It's like everything. You know what I'm
Wow.
That's a powerful thing. Jamie, I want to jump to you because you had a group too. We don't have to really get too specific, but talk about your experiences. You're in a unique situation in terms of society as a white female, and then you're raising Black children. You know, at the end of the day, the world's going to call them African American children. So, talk about that experience and how some of the stuff that you went through.
So I am in a unique situation where I can relate to what some of my colleagues were saying in regards to being white professionals that didn't really know how to relate, but I myself have children that are going to be considered Black at the end of the day. So I have to figure out how to balance the two, how to listen to what they're saying, and then also explain to them what that means when you're raising children that are not considered white. So it was interesting to listen to what they were saying. I think that a lot of professionals, a lot of teachers want to help, but weren't comfortable in their own skin enough to know how to help. So it was just getting them to the point where they felt comfortable enough in their own skin to say, listen, this is what we have to do. You know, you can say white, you can say Black. It's okay to say it. You have to get past that in order to be able to help others around you. So it was interesting.
Good point. I've always, because we got a lot of educators that follow us, and a lot of them ask me, you know, I don't know how to help, or I don't know how to have that conversation. I don't know how to do, you know, they're uncomfortable with it. They want to, and in their feelings that they want to be there and help. And the key that I always tell educators is that as human beings, we learn off of feelings, right? Our common ground is the fact that we all can feel the same emotions and the same feelings. So if you can relate to an African American or brown student off the base of feelings, you know what anxiety feels like. You know what fear feels like. If you relate that conversation on that level and let them know that, no, you're not going to know their experience. I don't expect you to understand what it feels like to be a Black male if you're not a Black male. I can't expect me to know what a female feels like, 'cause I'm not female. So the conversation shouldn't even get to that point. But I can talk to you about what it feels like. You know what I'm saying? We can relate and start that conversation there. Then the next step is learning and learning about people. I'm fascinated by people. I read every single day about different cultures. Somebody tell me about different cultures, something, I'm in it because I want to know. I don't know what it's like to be Indian, for example, but there's certain things that I can definitely appreciate and love off of that culture. And I just think we've got to start to take those steps. But I think the ground floor is feelings and being able to relate on those levels. Kareem, I see you in deep thought over there.
I mean, part of that, because I go back to what Rel had said earlier in the podcast when he said that if you're looking down on this planet, everyone is human. You're not looking to see what or how much melanin somebody has in their skin or don't have in their skin. At the end of the day, you're still considered human. And we all know what it feels like to be marginalized. So when they have these conversations about not knowing how to have conversations, you can start by really just internalizing the feeling of being marginalized, because all of our women have been marginalized. We all know they don't get paid the same amount as men.
That's fact.
So when you're looking at someone that doesn't look like you, the first thing you can hone in on is that I know what it feels like to be marginalized. So you know what? I'm going to make sure, if nothing else, when he comes in my classroom, he's going to be comfortable.
That's facts.
Man, that's a beautiful sentiment.
I put a quote out on Facebook not too long ago, and said that education should be a garden that allows the opportunity for all the flowers to reach the sky. And I think that is the key here, is that when we're talking about education and we're talking about the social issues that are going on, you may not understand how to, let's say, nurture and water a tulip, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But you have to give that opportunity, one, for that tulip to at least feel comfortable enough to at least grow in that area, number one.
Yeah.
And then number two, you can learn a lot by just looking and observing that tulip. I'm using tulip as a metaphor right now. You know what I'm saying? So I look at like my students as, no matter where you come from, you know, whatever your flower is, whether you're a tulip, you're a sunflower, whatever, my job is to give you the soil and the nutrients to be able to grow and to reach your potential. I can't do that if I'm not willing enough to learn about these people and give them space to express themselves and to open myself up to learn. And I think that a lot of teachers are failing because, you know, they have that authoritative, you know, role of, I know best, this is what you want to do, and
that's
blah, blah, blah. And I think that's where we're falling short in that discussion on social issues. It's not an easy conversation. It's a hard one to have, but it has to be done. I'm scared of school districts right now that are afraid to have the conversation. I'm afraid of the ones that are ignoring it, like, all right, this will go away. Kind of like the coronavirus. The virus ain't going nowhere inside, so we got to deal with it, right? So these conversations need to be dealt with, and these conversations need to be had.
Because repetition alone, we know that's the most basic form of brainwashing, or what we call brainwashing, or instilling something, or training, or, you know, conditioning. Is repetition, period. And so, all right, I just want to make this point because we're talking about where we're at now and where we need to go. It goes right back around to what we were talking before, is literally most people have been lied to their whole life. Their whole life. So what you have to do when a foundation is caving in is, the problem is you have to remake the foundation. And that means eliminating the lies. And I know a lot of people don't want to do that, you know, but the most clearest way I can put it is, words can create spells. And that's why you call it spelling. And so what do spells add up to? They add up to rituals. And when you are doing the same thing and looking for a different, you know, if you keep making people, and looking for a different problem each time that's going to arise from you doing the same thing, it's like you're teaching people about materialism and about all this nonsensical stuff, and then you're not building them up spiritually, when our foundations are supposed to be, we are spiritual beings first. And so we have foundations that are all over the place, and it starts with the education and what we're teaching them right from the beginning. If you tell them you are not better than anyone else just because you're melanated, you don't have more brain capacity than anyone else, what shapes you is what you do, and make them responsible for their actions. They're inclined to be a more responsible person when they get older. But since they've been told that the otherwise, then you get a world that looks like this.
Jamie, you had something you wanted to chime in on?
I do. I just think that what I got out of the group of women that I spoke with is, a lot of teachers had good ideas. A lot of professionals had good ideas, regardless of what their skin color was, but they were afraid to think outside of the box and be the first one to initiate that. So I think it comes back to knowing what your school district is going to allow you to do or accept or want you to do. They're afraid to be the first to do it.
Real talk.
I don't know. I mean, I don't understand that mentality. Only just because, listen, I'm coming from the hip hop generation, right? And that's my culture, right? And we were so used to not, taking no for an answer. We were so used to fighting the system, right? We fought the very system that was trying to keep us down. So for somebody I expect resistance. It's part of the process. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you know what I mean? It's not going to be like they're going to open up this red carpet and then you're just going to go ahead and all of a sudden things are going to happen. But you gotta go through pain in order to grow, right? So if you even look at a seed that germinates, and there's a lot of stress and stuff that's on that seed. You got to go through stuff in order for that flower to grow. So you got to go through. You got to have these tough conversations in order for that to happen. I'm not I operate within a system, but at the end of the day, if I gotta get my hand slapped, I get my hand slapped. If I know what I'm doing is right and I truly believe what I'm doing is right and it's for everybody, then yes, you're going to get resistance. The system does not want this to happen because it was designed that way, and there's people that love the system, and it's going to be a fight. To me, that speaks more volumes to how truly do you really want the situation to stop? Like, how really is your heart really into it? I mean, you care about it,
Yeah.
but is it really into it to a point where you really want change to happen?
The only thing I see that has to happen is systematically everything has to change. So that starts with our minds, and we send out thoughts through just the energy, we in the words, communication, nonverbal communication. You send out messages all the time. It's just like when you're in the house, right? And someone may turn on the TV downstairs. Now you don't hear anything that's on the TV, but you can just feel like, oh, TV's on, right? You just feel that electricity. And so for it to really change, it starts with the mind. So what I've begun is I went out on a journey and I've been trying to promote a healing process that's all natural that our ancestors used to use. And that's breathing to the parts of the body, but breathing diaphragmatically, breathing in through the nose and breathing to the diaphragm. And then your assisted stretching or stretching yourself and you breathe to the muscle, you'll get deeper in the stretch. But while you're breathing to that, you'll actually start to clear the mental because you're breathing in through the nose. And so we all need healing, and rebalancing is always a process. If you stand on the scale and then you take off of it and you eat and drink something, you're going to be different. Then you're going to have to rebalance the scale. You're going to be different than before. So it's always a balancing act. But the most important thing is that we be acknowledge and be aware of where our balance is. And so that's what I'm trying to promote is self-healing and healing to the people, because I don't know any other way. Like you saying, it's just to try to do something. That's all.
Got you. I gotta admit that I tried your deep breathing and stretching, and I'm not flexible at all. And I was like, this don't feel good right now. But when I got done the exercise, I did feel better. I'll tell you right now. I was like, wait, I realized how inflexible I am. And it hurt me a little bit. But then I was like, you know what? I feel good after.
Yes. Well, because you're releasing everything in those exhales, and that's an important part. If you want to take it a step further and to actually aware, just lay down on the ground and sprawl your arms and feet out and literally just take 13 good deep breaths, and you'll actually feel in your body where I need this at or where it's a little tight at, but you just take your time. And that is for the mind, because it doesn't, like you were talking about earlier, certain things don't take that much time. That takes 5 minutes. but it's just becoming more aware about ourselves.
True. Absolutely.
I mean, in meditation, I mean that when Rail talks about ancestors and their rituals, that was part of it. Like making sure that meditation time, that is just so important to be able to just take that minute and just be able to clear your mind, and it will help you be able to be rebalanced and refocus. So meditation is clearly important. Now, mindfulness and argument, we have all agreed that mindfulness don't work in argument, right, Jamie? Right, Jamie, don't work, right?
Mindfulness works.
No, don't listen. But meditation, it definitely works. So if people are just going to be able to listen to what Rail is saying and take heed to that breathing, those breathing exercises definitely will be able to relax your mind, your body, and your soul. I mean, you just have to be willing to do it and apply it on a regular basis and let it become part of your ritual.
I don't want to gloss over this because we might have new listeners on season 5 because you guys were saying that this mindfulness don't work in arguments. Can we just explain to our audience what that, James, you don't agree with it or you agree with it? What's going on here? What's happening?
Mindfulness works. So
no, the question was in an argument.
See, she's not even paying attention. That's how I know she's not mindful. She's not even paying attention to the question.
Mindfulness works. Listen, because sometimes like I have a hard time biting my tongue. I'm a little vindictive. So if I just stop for a second and think about what I'm about to say before I say it, I can pause for a second because mindfulness works. It takes me to another place.
Sounds like you just trying to conjure up in your mind more vindictive ways to get back at the person.
Ain't nothing but decision making. Now, should I throw the brick or should I throw the boulder? Ain't nothing but decision making. That's all it is.
Decision making. That's hilarious. Oh man, that's funny.
You know, one of the best things ever to do, and I learned as far as relationship and in type of relationship argument to do is literally just okay and just leave it alone and just breathe on it for a little bit. I swear, it always takes down the temperature, just a little bit. But when you let stuff go, for some reason it comes back. If it's really a problem that they have, it'll come back to you. But they'll come back on a different note, because you're sending out a frequency of combativeness at the time, and when you just like, all right, I'm just going to go over here, whatever, I'm gonna read a book or whatever it is.
Or I'm going to go to Cancun.
Yeah, go to Cancun for a day, whatever it is.
I guess how do you let go? You got your new car, she just bust the windows out and flatten the tires. How do you let something like that go?
The only reason why you do is because like that's only a reflection of them. And when you see that, like that's all your energy. Like it'll make you, I don't know, for me anyway, it'll make me just be like, you really are on some stuff right now, and I'm just on, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's the only way I know how to transmute the energy, honestly.
Is it going to come back to me in the form of a new car or something like that? Like,
hopefully.
James, you shaking your head, James. What's that?
God.
I think that if you didn't do what you did wrong, you wouldn't have a busted up car.
Now listen, I gotta stop you right there. Behavior is a symptom. There's a reason why that person did what they did in the first place.
Because they're vindictive.
Huh?
They're vindictive.
Sounds like you did this before.
I understand.
That's okay. She ain't doing nothing. She ain't doing nothing. We'll get herself like she's gonna go to people's court and she's gonna lose. That's what that is. Judge Wapner is going to pronounce her guilty.
So if anybody out there that try to talk to Jamie, make sure you bring the Pinto to take her around so you only think that you got a busted car because she's gonna mess up your good stuff.
Man, I tell you one time, this is a real life story of someone doing something like that, but on that level, kind of. Anyway, I was got a contract training this Corey Irving, a defensive lineman at Tampa Bay Bucks, and he had I think he gave me a check, and so I put it in the bank, and the girl I was with at the time literally waited till like 3 in the morning when it cleared or something and took the money out of the bank and a couple grand. And then was like hiding and whatever. Like, what could I do? Like I literally had to sit and think because she was gone. I had to train him. I went to the session. He was late. Blah blah blah. I'm like, man, what can I really do but just be mad? So I sent it out. It was right before my daughter's birthday. I sent it a message out on social media, like, oh my gosh, this person did this, and it came back to me. Literally, it started coming back to me like probably like a half a month later. You know, um, she gave me back half the money, and then I don't know. We eventually just worked it out, but I was just like off my shoulders after that. But only if I took that time. If she wasn't running and hiding, I would have probably been like, no. But I took the time, and I don't know. It ended up transmuting.
See, I would have went through the house. Her DNA was in the house somewhere. She left a head piece of hair somewhere. I got my CSI. I would have found it. No.
She was hiding in the bushes, she said one time. Oh, man. Oh, my God.
Oh, man. Well, I can only say what the Sugar Hill gang says. You go date a friend. That's what the Sugar Hill.
That's too funny. I want to talk about at least how can people get in contact with you in terms of anything fitness or health or mental fitness type thing. If anybody wants to be learn the stuff that you're teaching, like how can people get in contact with
you? You can give me a call on one of my numbers. That I think at least two of them are listed, but just really send me an email. I like to read a lot. So send me an email at urelriley@gmail.com. I have all types of different workouts for people, as well as great health tips when it comes to how to burn fat, how to gain muscle, so on and so forth. But the stretching is so key because literally, all right, so you get a cut, right? And what happens? It bleeds. A substance comes out of your hand or wherever, but it's not. It's not water, right? It's a substance that dries and binds up the cut. Okay, and so then a scab comes over, and then that scab falls off, and then your skin goes right back over. It's almost like extraterrestrial, That's incredible. So my theory was if our outside does that, I think our inside does that. And what is the property, the catalyst for that? Oxygen. So if we breathe to our muscles, we're breaking down the muscles when we're working out. If we breathe to them, we actually are repairing them. And so that was, and it's work, man. Cancers, all types of diseases, ataxia, stiff person syndrome. You could go on and on. I've worked with it. HIV, T cells shot up 85% after 2 sessions on a HIV positive patient. Just all types of stuff. But I've been doing it for over 12 years now because I would stretch my clients before their workouts and it would enhance their VO2 max. But if I could get that message out there to the world the most, that's really what I want because I want to build a wellness center where we can teach certain different types of techniques of self-healing and just help the people on a mass scale.
Oh, that's nice. Now, typically, we like to have a little fun at the end of our podcast. We used to ask our guests how petty, or do they think they are petty. Season 5 actually had people go into their cell phones, and we would call people and ask them what they thought about them. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going to do that to you.
Okay.
Not yet.
I say we call one of Rail's exes. Like, hey, I'm calling on behalf of Rail. How you really feel about him?
We're gonna call it one with the check.
Yes. That's so awesome.
I'm half tempted to do it to Kareem and Jamie, but I'm not gonna do that either. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, you will get mixed responses.
After this request that I have, because like I said, I opened up and said that you got some bars when it comes to the poetry thing. So I saw you do something on somebody else's podcast, so I was like, I gotta ask him if you would share a little something on our podcast. You'd be the first poet on our podcast that
wow, that's a blessing. Oh, thank you.
Actually, will share something. So if you would like to bless our audience with a little something before I ask Kareem and Jamie to do the phone challenge.
Wonderful. Manifesting dreams. The beauty in life comes in art, a perception of light. The mind adapts and vision changes. Small synapses generate pictures. In an alternate reality, dreams come true again and again. When it happens for real, this manifestation is not pretend. Belief is understood and followed. Faith and strength are prayed for, spoken out to the universe verbally. Epiphanies are had, then recorded with colors, sacred and appropriately. It happens accurately. Then another vision compounds and it happens instantly, back to a spatial universal anomaly. We dream again. We dream again. Then we have to wait patiently. And then it's worked for, and it's written down after it works, and it's listened to and taught. We hear it, we feel it. It's even more than it seems. Become it and do it in a manifesting dream. Thank you.
Bars. Definitely dope. Awesome.
Salute.
So I'm going. Jamie, you got your phone? Yeah, you do. You have your phone there. This is a very simple exercise.
Okay.
All right. Pick a number between 1 and 5.
7.
1 and 5.
Oh, got it.
Just a disclaimer. She does not teach my kids. I can say that now.
5.
5. All right. You got to go into your text messages.
Right now?
The fifth person that texts you, you have to call them. Put them on speaker.
It's you guys.
I can't answer the phone because I'm on my phone. So, all right. Go to 4. Go to 4.
Right now?
Call them, put them on speaker, and I'm going to ask them a very simple question.
Okay.
This is awesome.
What if this person doesn't answer?
Then we got to pick another number.
Listen, you're on a podcast. I have to put you on speaker. You have to answer a question about me, okay? All right, hold on.
Who?
This is Jenna.
Jenna, how are you doing, Jenna?
I am doing wonderful.
All right, I got to ask you a very simple question.
I hope it's simple.
Give me 2 words that will describe Jamie.
Oh.
Loyal.
You can.
And ambitious.
Yes.
Loyal and ambitious.
Nice.
That's nice. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you for lying to us. I appreciate it. I'm joking. Thank you so much. Now, Mr. Petty, I'm not going to do that to you because who knows who's going to answer your phone. I don't even know what's going to
No. That's not fair. That's not fair.
Should we make them do it?
Yes. All
right, Kareem.
No, she just want to know who I've been talking to. That's all I know. You need to mind your business. Stop being so nosy.
I'm gonna give, because you've been rocking with me for so long, you can pick whoever's in your text message to call.
Let me see if she answered. We're gonna call my niece. I'll talk to her earlier.
I bet she's not gonna say you're loyal and ambitious.
Yeah, she gonna tell the truth.
You're petty.
How about this? How about this? How about spell it? How about that? And see, you ain't saying nothing. That's what that is.
You gonna get your niece on the phone?
I'm gonna try it. Yanni, can you hear me? How are you? Yanni, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, you're on my podcast with my partners. So he's going to ask you a couple of questions. You're live too. It's being recorded. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Thank you for blessing us with your presence. I have a very simple question for you. Is Kareem really that petty in real life? Or is he lying that he's not really that petty? Do you really think he's petty?
Are you saying petty?
Yeah, petty. They want to know whether or not if I'm petty.
I'm sorry, your question came out of nowhere, so I usually think about my reply before a question like that is asked, but
so the answer is yes.
I want to know if he's petty. If he's actually that petty.
Yes, and if you can provide,
he's very smart and he thinks about a lot of things that he do and how he goes about doing things. I don't consider it pettiness, though.
See, this was my favorite niece. She may be my only niece, but it's my favorite niece. All right. Thank you, Yanni.
I appreciate it.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
That is awesome. So there it is. You're not really petty.
That was set up.
He had no idea that's what we was doing.
That was a lie. Mine was for real. His was not.
I don't know. I don't know.
How about this? No, hold on, so before we end. How about this? How about if you can get this person live on a podcast? How about that?
Right now?
Oh.
My person?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, your person.
I was getting real here on the Empowerment Perspective podcast. This is a perps.
I don't think she called a real person. I think she called like the Santa hotline. That's what that is.
Live and in person. They think that you were lying about me. Can you please tell them about me?
You got to put her picture. There you go.
Hey, listen, Jamie is like probably the most amazing human being. Okay, she's one of the best friends that I have. I can always depend on her and count on her, and she's pretty hardcore.
Hardcore.
So, how long have you known her? Your best friend, your bestie.
How long have I known her? 2 years.
2 years, man. That's not good enough for a resume. I want to know about that.
That's too funny. Did she pay you to say this?
She's gonna do a lesson plans. That's what that is. She's gonna do a lesson plans for this week.
I just called her right now. Any other questions?
You sent her a text.
I just called her in front of you.
Do you know she's being recorded and she's live?
What'd she say?
She said she's literally on FaceTime. She can see my house.
Oh, that's nice. Well, I appreciate your time and lying to us. I know she's going to pay you in some form or fashion.
Lying isn't quite my style. It might be the style of others, but not so much mine.
No. That was good.
It is really good. But being as though that I'm a therapist, I already know what it means to look up and to the left. Rel, you know what that life is like.
Yep. You know. You know.
We thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
For
yes,
your
yes,
time.
yes, yes.
Appreciate it. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Awesome.
So, Urel, one more time, how can people, what's the email address so they can get contact?
Yeah, send me Urel Riley, URIEL @gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking the time out in California to check us out. Shout out to Cali, man. Y'all still repping us. You're our third largest market right now. We got to get those numbers up, though. Trying to get y'all to number 2. Also, we can't, because of COVID, have our annual toy drive. But what we are doing is we're doing it virtually. So I'll put that link up on our podcast. If you find it in your heart to be able to donate to CHOP, to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, there's kids that, they're in there that are going to be in there for Christmas. We try to bless them with some gifts that we can. So our goal is $2,000 this season, which we usually pass easily. But because of the COVID thing, we kind of are stuck with this. So if you find it in your heart, whether it's $10, $5, whatever it is, make sure you donate. If you don't donate to us, donate to something. There's people out here that need help and support, especially children, because they're in situations that have nothing to do with it.
Shouts out to my daughter. Her first high school basketball game was tonight.
Oh, all right. Wow. I hope she got the triple-double. Well,
I know, right? She's a freshman, so I'm just proud of her. Isis, I love you. I'm proud of you.
That's awesome. Well, Urel, man, definitely thanks for blessing us, man. You definitely dropped some gems, man. And, like I said in the beginning, it's definitely a blessing, and it feels good to reconnect. And, we definitely, I definitely appreciative of your support and the things that you, and the candid conversations that me and you've had, for sure, and definitely made me refocus in certain aspects of my life. But I definitely appreciate that. So I just definitely wanted to let you know that publicly, as well as how we rock or whatever. So definitely,
I love y'all. Thank you. I love you, and I appreciate you, King, and everything you're doing for our community and just for the world. Dr. Demiso Josie, ladies and gentlemen, who is the man. Always been, too. And I salute you. I always looked up to you.
Salute to you, too, King. Jamie, any last words before we get out of here?
No, I think my friends have spoken for me. Thank you.
That was very petty of you. Yeah. I'll take it.
That's great.
I don't know who that comment was directed towards, but I'll take it. Kareem, any last words?
Again, bro, I just want to thank you again for taking the time out, and like I said, to really just start off our 5th season, with you being our number 1 guest. Just appreciate you, man. Just continue to do great things. You have a great heart, and you have a great passion for what you do. So continue to educate those and continue to help people. But more importantly, man, let that beard grow. Let it grow out. Let it grow out, baby. Let it grow out. Rock out.
Start to look like Teddy Pendergrass over there.
I love it. Thank you for the incentive, because I was literally thinking today, I'm about to cut it off again.
Let it go. Just let it go.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, definitely. Again, you can check us out, theempowermentperspective.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, yada, 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 Apple Tunes, and all that stuff, LinkedIn. But make sure, again, check out our toy drive. It's really, really important to us that we serve our community. Hopefully, as this thing grows, we can serve bigger communities and, just keep getting this work done. We're bringing you this podcast for free. We don't even charge y'all. So at least give a little kickback during the holidays. You know what I mean? So also, we got our hopefully, we're trying to get our turkey drive for those that are local, and blessing a couple of churches out there like we always do. But we'll see what happens with this COVID thing. But make sure y'all taking care of yourselves, masked up, socially distanced. They're saying this is an adult issue, and as an adults, we need to solve it. And just stay safe out there. Until next time, stay empowered.